Today is a big day for Dracula fans.
Yeah, you saw Nosferatu?
Yeah, I saw Nosferatu, so that's Robert Eggers. He famously did The Witch and Lighthouse. The Northman, yeah, that's what I was thinking of. The Northman. So I was like really anticipating this one just because I've been fond of his work. And I was surprised. So it is just the Dracula story. Like pretty straightforward, more straightforward than I thought. There's obviously a lot more going on. He adds more like texture to it. Yeah. But I was kind of surprised how much like it's the plot of Nosferatu, which at the time was as legally distinct as they could make it Dracula. You know, like Pal World, how they had their characters look like Pokemon, but they just shifted things around just enough to make it legally distinct. Guy goes to, some castle and there's a strange count there, and then they go back to another country. So it's that story, but it like mixes it. It's of course beautifully shot. It's just like all of this guy's movies are just beautiful to behold. Well acted. So it's like what's her name? The Depp girl.
Oh, Lily Rose. Yeah,
she's great in it. It's Nicholas Hoult. He plays Thomas in this version. He's a real estate agent. He learns from his boss. He's newly married to Lily Rose Depp. He learns from his boss that there's a count in a far-off country, kind of a Romania, Russian-like country, that is going to buy property in Germany where they're living. The count does not want to go and sign the papers in Germany. He wants them to sign them there. So he takes a trip over to basically Transylvania, goes up to a castle. It's interesting because it's got two scary buildups. So it's one where Thomas goes to Transylvania, and there's like a scary buildup. He's really good at those buildups, like in The Witch and The Lighthouse, where it's like it starts off relatively normal and then it just ramps up with some craziness and dreamlike stuff. And so there's one ramp up where that happens, where he goes to the castle and some things happen there. And then there's the second ramp up is when the Count Orlok is on a ship coming back to Germany. That's the second kind of scary build-up. That's where famously there's all the rats, and they come into the city, and they apparently 200 rats were hired for this film.
Oh my God.
So, real rats.
And I could see that there were thousands of rats.
So like serious rodent control.
As things start getting weirder and weirder in this story, the characters enlist the help of Willem Dafoe as the Van Helsing character. I forget what they name him in the legally distinct Nosferatu story, but so he's that, he fulfills that role, and he's excellent. He's amazing. And he does a good, he's not too Willem Dafoe-ish. He has his own unique little character.
At first, I was kind of hoping he played Nosferatu because he played him in that movie Shadow of the Vampire from 2000. Willem Dafoe as Nosferatu and John Malkovich as the director. Oh. And you know what? That's a pretty cool movie. And he looks Willem Dafoe looks a hell of a lot like Nosferatu in that movie.
No, the Nosferatu is played by Pennywise there. That's one of those Skarsgård there. And the design of Nosferatu is really cool. It's almost like Soda Popinski from Punch-Out, where he's got the big Russian mustache, and when he's in his whole regalia, he's got a Russian fur hat, and he's got a
cool.
royal Russian cloak. And so he's got it's a very distinct design and distinct feel. He's terrifying too. He's just a presence. It's like you don't really see you don't really see many Draculas that are swole, like Soda Popinski type, intimidating presences.
Do they say Dracula, or do they say Count Orlok? And
they sound Count Orlok, and then the demon genre that he is a Nosferatu.
So it's based on the 1922 movie.
Yes, it's based on
the book Dracula, which was based on the book Dracula, but
yeah,
they couldn't say so.
Yeah. It's back in 1922, they had to be legally distinct from Dracula, even though it's essentially the same story.
I very nearly wrote a Box Mac Halloween special with Angry Kirby as Noodles Feratu. I went through the whole thing, and I was coming up with we were going to do it.
It is Nosferatu. It's that movie. It's 1922 movie.
That's cool.
It's that movie remade. It's got more modern themes, I would say, because it has like it does like a Jungian like like taking over your shadow, incorporating like your shadow to like, you know, defeat it or to incorporate it within yourself to overcome obstacles. And it's also you know, it's got that, it's kind of got like a plague metaphor in there too. And it's got like a domestic or sexual abuse allegory with both the main character Nicholas Hoult and his wife, who's played by Lily Rose Depp. And and it's, so there's like a ton of stuff going on with it, and it's well shot, it's well acted, well directed. But for some reason, I don't think it really jived with me. But I would say if you are a fan of a Dracula story and you want something that's really well done and has some interesting themes, it's excellent. It's a good movie. So,
I mean, he's one of those directors where like nothing is to be missed from him. I think he's just too good.
Yeah, I think I was like kind of in the mood for something even more like off the walls.
Yeah. I kept hearing how frightening it was.
I mean, it is frightening. So, like I said, those two ramp ups with the horror, where the traveling to the castle and the traveling back to the ship, you're just like, what is going to go down? How is this going to end up? Because you weren't quite sure, even though like you know the story of like Nosferatu or Dracula. It's still like, oh God.
Well, that is cool, because if you handed me Dracula and said like make it really scary, make people fucking freak out, I'd be like, I guess, you know, thered be a lot of neck biting.
You get Pennywise to be Soda Popinski, super scary. Being kind of like a sexual deviant.
Bill Skarsgård he's really pulled it off, man.
I recommend it. Especially if you're any kind of horror fan, and there is like some Christmas in there too, so it's actually kind of appropriate that it's like Christmas.
Look at that. Look at that.
Nosferatu! Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.